Hello guys, Tengu here, and we're back with some more Doll's Nest post-game builds. So before we begin, I would like to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. So without further ado, let's begin. So the build we're going to be checking out today is the Trebuchet cannon build. So this build is going to rely on the Trebuchet cannons as our main damage dealers, and we're going to be using a couple of things to help make this build shine. So first off, we're going to be running the Varchis as our mobility module. We're going to be running the Goggles as our headset module. We're going to be running the Hamsmund as our hanger module. We're going to be running the Valves as our thruster module. We're going to be running the Farlurakan as our utility module. We're going to be running the Rookloff as our primary arms 1. We'll be running the Ganzgans as our primary arms 2. We'll be running the Rammed Volk as our rear arms right. And we'll be running the Selpex as our rear arms left. So with this build, I recommend you run any kind of quad leg mobility module. Because these tend to have the highest carrying capacity without actually compromising your mobility. Particularly the Varchis and the Goggles. As you can see here, let me go ahead and equip that for you. As you can see, I still have quite a bit of carrying capacity here, without like being slowed down or anything. I could run tank tracks for this, but the problem with tank tracks is it tend to be kind of slow. They do give you a ton of carrying capacity, but yeah, again, they kind of slow you down quite a bit. Plus, they have very bad EP recovery versus something like the Varchis, which has very tremendous EP recovery. You can also run the Badum Balgus and the MMC 036. Problem is, those tend to also have very poor EP recovery, so you're generally better off just running something like the Varchis or the Goggles. Also, I don't recommend running the CMC 041 because, as you can see, I'm over encumbered with this thing, and these quad legs aren't really meant for carrying. If anything, it's meant for high-speed combat and what have you. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with the Varchis. As for our headset module, we decided to go with the Goggles because this has the highest targeting range, and quite frankly, with this build, you want to have as much targeting range as possible. As for the hanger module, we're going to be running the Hamsmund 2, solely because it has the best shell production and rear arms boost. You could try to swap these out for, say, the Kuramishas, which does have slightly better shell production boost, but I kind of don't recommend it. Unless you plan on staying very, very far away from your opponent, which is going to be a little bit tricky to do. So yeah, again, I would recommend just running the Hamsmund 2 for this build. As for thruster modules, I decided to run with the Valves because why not? You could go with something a little bit lighter like the Epinos or the Thirds. I can see here. For this, this should save you just a little bit of weight, but it kind of doesn't really matter too much with this build. Just use something that doesn't compromise your carrying capacity. And as for the utility modules, we decided to go with the Fire Luricons because, well, this is tends to be a bit of like a stopgap between the what is it again? Oh, yeah, the Varchis and the Vaz, the Vazgek, the Vaz. Let's just call it the Vaz. Like, it doesn't give you too little of BP boost, but also it doesn't take too much of your DP as well. So yeah, ideally, you kind of just want to stick with the Farluricons. As for the Rookloff, well, Rookloff tends to have an aim rate of 0, and quite frankly, having an aim rate of 0 is going to come important later. I'll show you why once we start using this build. As for the Ganzgans, not much to say here. I'm pretty much using this just in case if something gets past my defenses or if something's a little bit too close for me to use my Trebuchet cannons. And for our Trebuchet cannons themselves, I decided to go with the Ram Volk and the Selpex. Reason why, because I believe that these two weapons are probably one of the best weapons for this loadout. You can use whatever you want. You can use the Vandex, the Ganvolk, or Rockguard, or the SSBC 219, but I decided just to go with the Selpex and the Ground Volk because they tend to feel a little bit. Bit, better with this kind of loadout. But again, you can use whatever trebuchet cannons you want. Well, you have to keep in mind with trebuchet cannons, when you use these things, they tend to hold you still. I'll show you what I mean in a bit. So anywho, yeah, this is basically the loadout I'm going with. So this build isn't exactly set in stone. You could do quite a bit of what you want with this build, but for me personally, I decided to stick with this particular set. If you want to go ahead and use this particular set, just go ahead and get yourself these equipment and put them on. But anywho, I think it's time for us to go ahead and head out and test this build. So I'll see you in a bit. Alrighty then, so we're here back at the bridge. So anywho, let's go ahead and actually talk a little bit about this build. So again, this build is exactly set in stone as long as you're using quad legs, you should be fine with this build because yeah, again, this build tends to be very heavy on the well, equipment side, figuratively and literally. So you may be wondering why I'm using the Ruklov. So the Ruklov has an aim rate of 0, and basically what this means is as long as I have my target within my reticle, I should automatically lock on, as you can see here, versus using, say, the Gans, which takes a while for a lock on, as you can see. The whole reason why this is important for this build is, well, one, we're going to be heavily relying on our Trebuchet cannon to do damage, and, well, quite frankly, the Ruklov is a good way of being able to lock onto your targets while using your rear arms, in general, that is. But anyways, let me show you why this build is kinda strong. If anything, it's kinda like the sniper tank build, but you're relying on your Trebuchet cannon and a lock-on. In a matter of speaking, it kinda makes this build a little bit easy to use, but at the same time, it does have its drawbacks, as you'll probably see later. So anyway, let's go ahead and deal with this current enemy. Yeah, as you can see, this build is quite strong, especially once you're using cell packs. Again, you can use whatever trebuchet cannons you want with this build, as long as you don't defeat the purpose and, I don't know, equip something like dumb, like missiles. Oh, granted, having missiles on this build wouldn't be such a bad idea, because, quite frankly, once you got an enemy right in your face, it might be a little bit tricky to deal with them. If anything, you'll have to rely on your Gans, and, unfortunately with this build, your Gans is your only means of defense against enemies that are up close. But with enemies from afar, you do have plenty of more options. Plenty of more options. Apart from your self X, although granted, you pretty much just take out everything with your self X, as long as you're staying as far away as possible. So anyways, let's wait for, well, actually, you know what am I doing? Let's just shoot you. Far enough. Yeah, you kinda wanna get real good at matching your Salt X bolts when you're using this build, because it's quite easy to get a little bit overkill-esque, or esque, for this build. Anyways, let's go ahead and use our other weapon here. Alright, he's a little bit close. How did I do that? Let's hide from you. Well, I get hit by that attack, because that attack is kind of devastating. And I got a little overkill again. Whoops! Well, there's no kill like overkill, yeah? So, anyways, yeah, with this build, you kind of want to stand as far away as possible from your targets. If anything, you kind of want to wield them down with your trebuchet cannons and then just finish them off if needed. Well, granted, you don't have to really worry about that too much. Especially if you're running something like Spellpacks. But hey, go ahead and reload our Gans. And let's take care of you. And by the way, there's a kind of a cool thing you can do with the Ruklov as well. So, say you got a weapon that kind of loads or locks onto your targets a little bit too slowly. Oh. Where's you? Yeah, say you got a weapon that locks onto your target too slowly, like the Gans. Like, as you can see, I'm locking onto it kind of slowly. So, what you could do is, let me fire for a bit. Oh. So what you could do is just lock on with the Ruklov and then switch your Gans and use that to deal damage to your opponent. That's a little ability. What you can do. Nice little trick you can do with this build. Let's take care of you. Try to take care of you. Okay, I didn't do much. Unfortunately, our round ball can't really shoot through steel armor. It's a bit of a shame, but oh well. Oh, I might be in trouble here. Let's hide over here. Unfortunately, I don't think that enemy over there actually leaves. Maybe he's kind of tethered over there. Did he get health back? I'm not sure. Sure he did. All right, good to know. Oh, let's finish you off. By finish you off, I mean like try to finish you off. There you go. Alright, good to know. When you throw away from tethered enemies, they don't, or rather, to get their health, all their health back. So, anyways, as I was saying with the root claw, you can use this to actually lock out your opponent, then switch weapons. Actually, deal with your opponent. It's actually pretty nice, but also kind of gimmicky as well. If anything, you're kind of better off just using your root claw to boost your lock-on capabilities for your rear arms. Kind of better off doing that. And by the way, let's go ahead and pop up our power guns, get some ammo back. And you know, I don't feel like using round bulk on you. We'll use self-X. Ooh, self-X, you are strong. Oh, granted, once you got an enemy like right up on top of you, that's when things get a little bit dicey. Same thing to you. Although I could use the ramp bulk on you. Don't have that. Yeah, these Gatling enemies don't have too much health, so they're pretty easy to take down. You on the other hand, aren't so easy to take down. And you're done. But yeah, that's kind of what I say about the root claw. It's basically a cheat code for lock on. Kind of just have to aim at your enemy and then just switch weapons and let's go ham on them basically. Although granted, yeah, the trade-off with the root claw is one, if you're primarily using primary weapons, you're gonna be cupped out of one primary slot. And oh, that's pretty much about it, actually. That's pretty much it about the root claw. Root claw themselves, they can actually shoot through energy shields. But the problem is they don't do too much damage. Don't do too much damage and you don't have a lot of range. As you can see, I'm kind of just tickling this enemy. Oh. You need to use that. I have to use this. Okay, yeah. That's one downside with using what do I call it? I keep saying what do I call it a lot sometimes. Especially when I can't figure something out. But yeah, that's one downside with multi-pedal legs. You kind of have to worry about your angle as well, because sometimes they'll be like a little bit too close to the ground and end up hitting the ground itself. That's one thing you gotta watch out for with quad legs. Or tank turrets, for that matter. Tank turrets tend to have the same problem from what I've been noticing. But anywho, I think that should be enough for today. Or tonight for some of you. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just end this episode off. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any questions or concerns. So without further ado, this is gonna be Thank You signing off. Goodbye.